At the WNBA, that Cathy Engelbert saw some of the ratings that I'm about to show you now and said, hey, Indiana Fever, can you do us a favor? Can you do us a solid? Can you just tease a Caitlin Clark return, kind of boost these up a little bit? Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces, try to boost these ratings up a little bit?
The WNBA just got served a reality check without Caitlin Clark. This league is bleeding viewers faster than the Fever's playoff hopes.
Now, what all does this affect? The ratings are plummeting. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are eye-poppingly bad. We're talking about down in unrivaled territory. Caitlin Clark not playing in WNBA games. Now,
here's the thing, guys. We've got the numbers and they tell the entire story. The league that spent all season bragging about historic growth just watched their ratings crater by 55%. That's not a dip. That's not a seasonal trend. That's a full-blown collapse.
Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when Uncle Casey found out that the WNBA is struggling to maintain their ratings without Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, and this is something I have definitely noticed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially since the All-Star game.
Let's walk through the numbers because they don't lie, even when the league tries to spin them. Before Clark's injury, nationally televised WNBA games were pulling respectable numbers. After, down 55% across the board. But here's the real kicker. Fever games specifically have tanked by 53%, from 1.8 million average viewers to 847,000.
Struggling to maintain interest. Now, in fairness to the dump, the ratings I'm about to share with you guys, they're not bad. Matter of fact, some of them are actually good, at least when compared to what this dump used to draw, which was nothing. But the reason I think the WNBA is in trouble has less to do with these ratings and more to do with what I think is coming.
1.8 million viewers down to 847,000 for Fever games. That's catastrophic in TV terms, and you can bet Cathy Engelbert is having some very uncomfortable conversations with broadcast partners right about now.
This past Saturday was the lowest rating these two teams have had.
But let's be real about what's happening here. Clark averaged 19 points, 9.3 assists, and 6.0 rebounds in those 4 games. She had a triple-double in the season opener. The kid was putting up numbers that casual fans actually cared about watching. And instead of protecting that investment, instead of making sure their golden ticket stayed healthy, the league let her get banged up until a quad injury took her off the court.
The craziest thing about this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered. The day after she had the groin injury, she was listed as day-to-day. And then a couple weeks after that, then she was listed to being out indefinitely. Now, ESPN had August 12th as the circled return date for Caitlin Clark to get back onto the court. And just yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision. I get it to a certain extent. The fans, the media does not need to know every little thing that's going on with Caitlin Clark's injuries, especially a star player like that. We will never know all the information, nor should we know all the information, and that's actually good for Caitlin. It protects her for when she does come back on the court. She can't be targeted. Teams can't use a certain injury or ailment against her if people don't really know what is going on. But the reporting of her timeline in general, there has been no rhyme or reason to what has been shared about it. To put her as a game time decision for today's game, and then Coach Stephanie White basically coming out and saying she has done no practicing with the team.
Game speed is game speed, and you don't come back from soft tissue injuries by rushing the timeline. But every week Clark sits is another week of viewers finding something else to watch. Every week is another chunk of casual fans breaking the habit of tuning in. And once you lose that habit, good luck getting it back. The Fever are 4-5 without their star. Not just worse ratings-wise, but competitively. Teams can key in on other players without worrying about Clark pulling up from 28 feet or threading passes that make highlight reels. That's not entertaining basketball for the casual audience that drove those 1.8 million viewer averages. Now ask yourself this: if the growth was really league-wide, if other stars were really drawing eyeballs, would a 55% ratings drop be possible from one player's injury? The numbers are screaming the answer, but the league keeps pushing the same narrative about rising tides, lifting all boats. Let's check other games without Clark's draw. You think those numbers are holding up? I'd bet money they're not even cracking the 200K threshold on cable broadcasts. That's unrivaled territory, folks. The same viewership numbers that niche leagues pull when nobody's watching. And here's the dangerous part for the WNBA's future. TV networks don't have patience for wait until our star is healthy. ESPN, CBS, ABC, they pay for consistent numbers, not numbers that only spike when one specific player is active. When they see 1 million viewers vanish the moment Clark's in street clothes, they start rethinking how much programming they want to commit to next season. The league's marketing machine was built around Clark, and now they're finding out what happens when that engine breaks down. Highlights packages become low-light reels, merchandise sales probably flatline, and primetime slots start looking like bad investments instead of ratings gold mines. But the real problem isn't just the present, it's what's coming. Clark's been out for 5 games already, and Coach White is being cautious about her return. Translation: this could drag on for weeks more. Every additional game she misses is another data point showing networks and advertisers that this league lives and dies on one player's availability. That's not sustainable business. That's dependency disguised as growth. You want to know how exposed this league really is? Look at the timing. They're 4 games into the season, Clark goes down, and immediately the bottom falls out. No gradual decline, no slow bleeding of interest, just a straight drop from 1.8 million to 847,000 viewers for Fever games and 55% down league-wide. The owners see these numbers, the broadcast partners see these numbers, and they're all asking the same question. What happens if Clark gets hurt again? What happens if she decides the physical toll isn't worth it? What happens if casual fans move on to other sports permanently? Those are the conversations happening in boardrooms right now. Not about growth, not about momentum, about dependency and what it means for long-term viability. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Clark's injury didn't happen in a vacuum. Quad strains don't just appear overnight. You get there through contact, through accumulated wear, through not getting the whistle protection that keeps star players healthy. The league that depends on her for ratings couldn't even keep her on the court for half a dozen games. So here's the fix: short term and long term. Short term, you pray Clark comes back soon and the numbers bounce back to pre-injury levels. You milk every possible angle about her return, her recovery, her impact on team chemistry. That might buy you temporary ratings bumps. Long term, you either admit this league is the Caitlin Clark show with supporting cast, or you figure out how to build sustainable interest that doesn't crater when one player is injured. Because right now, 847,000 viewers for Fever games tells you everything you need to know about how much the casual audience cares about anybody else. The bubble isn't just deflating, guys. It's bursting in real time. And every day Clark sits in street clothes is another day of evidence that the WNBA's growth story was really just one player's story all along. So what's your take? Can this league survive extended Clark absences, or are we watching the beginning of a collapse? Hit like, drop your thoughts, and subscribe.